the man of the hour. Of course, the show is named after him. Bringing in right now, none other than Mark Chervinsky. Welcome, brother.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, what's going on, Mark?
Hey, brother. I was just listening to all those Twitter handles you got going on there. That's quite a bit. I'll have to get about 15 new handles on there.
Yeah, because everybody says, how many handles y'all got? We got, everybody in our staff and company got to have a handle.
Got to keep people
Twitter.
Informed.
Exactly. Social media.
Yeah.
So with the exception of, Angry Mark, who's allergic to social media, he still uses PO boxes. So hopefully he'll get with the times. It still pays through things through CODs. So hopefully, Mark, you can talk to Angry Mark when he comes on momentarily and just try to let him know to get with the times, get with social media.
Yeah, exactly.
So thanks for coming on to the show. Before we say this, shout out to our good old buddy Mark Cresco for coming on. Good buddy of ours, great publicist of the show. Mark, you coming on. Know you're a very busy man. You calling in again from California. We had a lot of guests from California, the West Coast.
Yeah.
How's it over there?
It's actually raining today, which is
wow.
We need the rain, so it's all good. But it's not too bad, Only 8 o'clock my time. Still got a lot of night left in me.
Yeah, well, we on the cusp of midnight over here, so nights ought to be all over. And it's a game where Mark said it rains in California. I think there's a song.
It rains about 10 days a year. It rains about 10 days a year, and it just happens to be raining this night tonight.
Yeah, I've been hearing that y'all been in a really big drought, especially from last year. So I know y'all need all the rain and everything. So that's pretty cool that y'all getting caught back up.
Yeah, a little bit here. We're supposed to have a big winter, but we'll see. I don't believe those weatherman.
Yeah, speaking of winter, we be getting that good old blizzard, that snow. And it's a Gameboy. You're right. He's supposed to hit us Friday to Sunday.
Well, I'm originally from Syracuse, so I know all about snow.
Say that again. You're originally from where?
I'm originally from Syracuse, so I know all about snow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you know.
Oh, yeah.
New York's getting hit. Definitely is. Thanks for coming on again. I know as our show, our base is pro wrestling because, sure, the other markets told you we cover all areas, pop culture, MMA, boxing, a bunch of random news. Your documentary, At What Cost, and Anatomy of Pro Wrestling, definitely checked it out. Me, NSC Gameboy, my staff, got together here at the house. We had our meeting and watched it. We loved it. Very different. Of course, documentaries, you see so many of them, about the same old stuff, but yours just struck differently. You had definitions up. It was like school. You had definitions. It was schooling people what kayfabe was and what this meant, what that meant, and people you got to see the inside booking meetings, and you had Jake the Snake, a good buddy of ours, and DDP, and Carl London, and everybody talking behind the scenes about wrestling, what it's like to be a wrestler. So, we give you a due and say we definitely enjoyed it.
Well, I appreciate that, and I tried towing the line to make sure the fans would like it, and people that maybe been a casual fan or watched as a kid or something like that and never really knew that much about the business would still enjoy it. I got into it to make to meet some of the people I grew up watching, and then meet some people that I hadn't heard of, and I got to meet a lot of interesting characters. Going out to Vegas for the Cauliflower Alley, got to see a lot of old timers, a lot of new schoolers, and a good mix of people out there. So, I think at the end of the day, I put the camera maybe on 150 wrestlers, but not all of them were lucky enough to make the cut. But because you never know what's going to come out of somebody's mouth when you start hit record. But I think I got some great interviews, and I definitely got to meet some really good people along the way, and I'd say the 3-hour interview I did with Jake the Snake was very awesome, and same with Paul London. Paul London was just telling right from the beginning of trying to find a wrestling school, trying to find out how to get into this business, the ups and downs, the highs, the lows, and it's not an easy business for the workers, especially today.
Yes.
Yeah, that definitely is true. Speaking of which, Cauliflower Alley, we have good buddies there. We got to give a happy birthday shout-out to a good old man, the Killer B. Brown Blair. We talked to him last week. His birthday was last week, so give him a special birthday shout-out. Of course, one of the leaders of the Cauliflower Alley. We definitely got to make a trip to Cauliflower Alley soon. That definitely is on our list of things to do. Sort of with the question,
you could do a live broadcast right from there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, I like that. Thinking ahead.
Yeah, I like Mark. Yeah, I like that. Already.
Yeah.
With the documentary, of course, and we'll get into you, Mark, your other line of work of, the other hit shows that you worked on. Tell us, one, what inspired you to do this documentary, and two, what was the challenges of doing this documentary?
What inspired me was my first exposure to wrestling was, I think I was in third grade when WrestleMania 1 came out, and my parents just brought me over to their friend's house who, like everybody in America was, tuning in to see what Vince McMahon had in store with Liberace and, Mr. T and all those crazy cats putting together, Billy Martin, the big spectacle that Vince, now, what are we in WrestleMania 40 now? Something like that, close to it anyway. But yeah, but so I watched and I was hooked for as a kid for many years. Kind of drifted out of it when I discovered girls in sports. And then my roommate in college, he was really big into it, introduced me to Goldberg and what was going on with Monday Night Wars. So kind of started paying attention a little bit more with that. And then I started working on Wrestling Society X when I moved out here to Hollywood, working on television shows. And I was like one of the few editors that actually had some wrestling knowledge. But then, I was exposed to Teddy Hart and Matt Sydal and a host of other people. I'm blanking on names, but there's a bunch of guys. In that short-lived stint, but I was just amazed at the technical moves had how much it had progressed, and then I found out how much these guys were actually making, and found out that our production assistants were making more than some of the wrestlers that were in the ring, and I was like, how is that even possible? These guys are the talent, So obviously there was a passion there for these wrestlers to get in the ring, and then I thought about making a movie. I talked with the producer Kevin Kleinrock about it a little bit, and then I ended up working for Jason Hervey a couple of years later on Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling. And Jason's a big fan, and he's partnered up with Eric Bischoff, so obviously there's some history there. And I just kind of asked Jason why he loved wrestling at his age, and he broke it down in a very elegant way. And I was like, all right, I need to know why, not only why the wrestlers do it, but why these fans are so addicted to the product out there. Right. And I felt that it'd make a really good documentary. So I got a few cameras and hit the road and talked to through word of mouth and friends of friends. I got some good interviews, and I was just at a friend's house, and she says, "Hey, would you like to?" I think my writing friend has a brother that was in WWE. I quick looked up her friend and saw his name was Jonathan London. Found out that was Paul's brother, and I was like, "You mean 3-time tag team champion Paul London? I'd love to interview him." And that's where it started. So Paul gave me the inside scoop to Brian Kendrick. Went over to his school, and then another friend turned me on to Dallas Page, who made a yoga documentary with another friend, and emailed Dallas. I said I already had Paul and Brian in the movie, and what I wanted to do with it. And he's like, sure, why don't you come out to Atlanta and you can interview Jake Roberts too. And I was like, all right, now I got something. So out to the accountability crib and set up the camera and got rolling on Jake in Dallas, and that was we were pretty well going.
Thank you for that. Go ahead and Gameboy.
Well, first of all, I want to say it took a lot of energy to really get behind, filming and doing documentaries. We have a few guests that come on the show who done some amazing documentaries, but one thing I've noticed about yours is you had a very serious undertone, and it was very informative as you was breaking down with the different terminologies in the wrestling business. My question to you is that which wrestler or star gave you the most problems at trying to be interviewed or anything of that nature?
Well, I can just tell you straight off the bat, it was Big Papa Pump. He wanted nothing to do with me.
Oh, sounds familiar.
And he blew me off so many times. I just wanted a few minutes of his time, and I thought that beautiful Bobby Eaton was going to warm him up for me, and that didn't happen. And I think he was really angry because I think that to talk out of school here, I think the police ended up at his doorstep at 4 a.m. the night before with a drug sniffing dog. But those are the rumors I heard. That's secondhand knowledge. I don't know. So he was none too pleased with the Arkansas Police Department, from what I understand. So he's kind of in a cranky mood.
Oh man, the big bad, what's his name? Big Bad Booty Daddy. Call him
Big Papa Pump, Steiner.
Yeah. Called him. What's his original name? White Thunder. Trivia fact for you young fans, the 4 kids. He debuted. His name was remember that was a White Thunder or White Lightning or something. On Thunder. The next thing you know, became Big Papa Pump.
Yeah.
We did some previous work with Scott Steiner. He was alright. He got mad at the promoter because the door was locked when he went. We was in like this big gym in West Virginia. Everybody in the locker room was Kevin Sullivan, Barbarian, and local talent and whatnot. Everybody's there chilling. Big Papa Pump leaves and goes a good 2 miles down the hall to work out. He got mad at the promoter because one of the you have double doors. It's always that one door that's like locked. Well, the double doors was locked from the outside. It's like, open up the damn door. Is that what he said? And he said nothing else for the rest of the night.
Yeah, he was psyched with his payday. I mean, he was bragging to one of the friends because all they wanted him to do for the TV. This is on TCW, and he was psyched because he just got to whoop up on a green wrestler and basically put the smackdown on him. And then he got to do a tag team. So he got his payday, and then got a bunch of photos signed, and in the middle of the ring during intermission. So he walked out of there with some good coins. So I don't know what he was all bent out of shape about. But,
maybe this needs a hug.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, he put up hurting on one of the boys I was riding with, and it was what do they call that? A locker room sellout.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's in the gorilla
might be some more of that White Thunder. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Might be some of that White Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably put that hurting on him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, White Lightning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Saltine. Go, brother, and then you had a question.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, thanks.
Awesome. My question for you is, what was it like working with Jake Roberts? He been having a rough time throughout the years, and what was most influence and what was interesting about his story?
He was, first of all, I think we've all seen Beyond the Mat, so those weren't a line of questions I was even willing to ask, because I didn't want to tell that story. We'd seen that story, and that's a very depressing story. So I was just interested of how he got into the business, and he's very forward with that. And he talked about going up to Canada and not, people looking at him funny. He didn't realize why, because he gets off the plane and he doesn't have a winter jacket, and it's 20 below. So he thought he was going to freeze to death the first time he even got to Canada. He talked about stories about he and Savage were in a program together for a little bit. I think we remember that where Savage got bit by the snake, and he was, taunting Elizabeth back in the day. And apparently, Elizabeth's parents didn't know that wrestling wasn't 100% legit, so they thought this big bad snake was, demeaning their daughter, and they wanted Elizabeth to get a divorce from Randy. So he would come in the ring, and he would start just landing haymakers on Jake, and Jake all could do for the first 5 minutes is just block him. And Randy's can I curse on this show before I finish the story? Okay. Yeah. So he says he's like, Randy, what are you doing? We rehearsed this, and he's like, man, you were looking like you wanted to fuck her in the face, man. He's like, well, maybe I did, but this is still got a job to do. Yeah. And so it took him a few minutes to calm Randy down, but he would just come in there all, savaged out and just put a pummeling on Jake. And then the one thing that made the documentary is where he got the shit kicked out of Santa Claus back in the 70s, which is, I think, a great story. But I think your listeners are going to have to watch the movie to check that one out. And he just had story after story. I mean, again, I could, him and Paul London's interviews were so long and just so intriguing. I could have made a documentary on both of them. I might, if we can get some people to pay attention to this one, I got another movie that I can make out of this stuff, but got to see the interest level, I got a mortgage and 3 cats to pay for.
You say 3 cats?
Yeah, we found them in the backyard. So
what kind of cats?
One's a tortoiseshell one, one's an orange and white one, and one's a gray and white one. So I got Jake Ryan from 16 Candles is the one, and I got Zoe Bell from Kill Bill. She's a little stunt woman, and my tortoiseshell one I just call Torty because she's cool.
Big Kill Bill fan. Are you a QT fan as well?
I'm a huge Tarantino fan. I mean, any filmmaker that isn't is, I don't have time for them.
So we're big movie buffs. So NFC Gameboy, you go and take over. I think you know the question I'm gonna ask.
Well, before you ask that question, I wanted to ask you: do you always surround yourself with pussies like that?
Well, my wife is out of town for the next 3 weeks, so.
Okay. I was just wondering because you was naming all these different pussies, and I was just like, wow.
He's smart. See, he's smart.
Yeah. Well, ever since college, I always bring the girls out to the bar because no girl wants to get with a guy that doesn't have girlfriends around. Sometimes it backfires me, and they put out the bad vibe on the girls that I wanted to pick up. But if you're not bringing them to the bar, then then you're just like looking for one to hang out with.
I like your terminology. That's
I like
nice.
I like this guy.
I like that. That's nice.
See,
that works.
What Mark does has a plethora of pussies. The wife is out of town. You got the pussies in the house all around. There you go. Never go there.
He just found them too. He just they just go back and they just came in.
It's a pussy magnet.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what they do in California. I gotta remember that.
Yeah. Well, and I think we have to apologize for the 4 kids in California. It is still early there, so listening.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Listening.
There we go. Where's my manners?
Yeah. For those in the West Coast, the East Coast, kids shouldn't be out. But then again, we're in Baltimore City, so kids ain't got no curfew. So they pretty much heard worse. All right. With that being said, I'm going to bring in now another Mark, my other co-host of my other show, the Angry One, Angry Mark. Welcome to Under the Mat Radio.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for having me on, and make sure everybody tunes in Thursday night to Pro Wrestling Black and White. Got a shameless plug to put in there. So with this documentary, tell me how many hours of footage did you guys film, and tell me how long it took to edit and break this down. Just so you know, a little bit of background, I have 7 years production experience.
Yeah. Well, hour-wise, I'm not exactly sure. I have, like I said, I put the camera on about 150 people. Some of that's just, a little 5-minute here, 10-minute there. Actual sit-downs with the heavyweights and stuff like that, I probably got 50, 60 hours. I mean, I got 8 terabytes of footage, I guess. So.
Wow, I know what that means.
That's a lot.
Over 8,000 gigabytes.
But it took. I had a couple interns that I got from Long Beach State to help me out, and they did a lot of digitizing for me. I did this. I'd say 90% on my own. I shot it myself with the help of, a friend here or there that could shoot a second camera. I mean, that's why a couple of my shots, they kind of get out of frame when the wrestlers get excited, because I was there filming by myself a lot. It took me, I would say, a decent rough cut was probably done in about 2 months, and then tweaking for another year just because, I had to go back to work and then I get some better ideas, and I go into a new show and I was like, I like the style that we're doing here, and I'd add that style to the to my movie a little bit, and but I was really lucky in the fact that Matt Riviera down at TCW was very very helpful in giving me a bunch of his matches that looked really pretty. All that Blue Apron stuff was looks really good in HD. And then David Marquez was real nice about giving me some footage. Bought some matches from Tony Givens down in NWA. I just wanted to make sure that I had rights to everything that I had. There's probably a few clips of some WWE footage, but I think with a 95-minute documentary, I think I can fair use like 30 seconds of Vince's material, but hopefully he doesn't come after me for 30 seconds. So, but we'll see. That's my wife's biggest concern.
And my other question, so I filmed wrestlers like you've done. We've, with the production company that I still work with right out of Baltimore. Now, we noticed about 80% of pro wrestlers either blew their money on drugs. Some of them, just live so far outside their means that they're their own worst enemy. Tell me the biggest story, excluding Jake Roberts, that really pulled on your heartstrings during this documentary of somebody who had it and just lost it.
I'm going to go back with Paul London only because I think he's a super good guy. I think he got a raw deal in WWE. I think he did it right. I think he worked hard. I think he made a mistake with the whole limo thing, not even unbeknownst to him. And I think he also might have dated some diva that Vince might have had his eye on, and that got him blacklisted while he was still under contract. And the workers loved him, and he worked so hard. I mean, I actually brought him to tears when I started talking to him about it, because he worked so hard, and he would stay after and refine his craft, and work on the shooting star press, learned how to tell a story in the ring. He did it the right way, and I've seen a lot of guys at different promotions, and they're just there to tell 20 people that they're a professional wrestler, and I think Paul really had a passion for it. And, I'm not saying he still doesn't wrestle, but the matches aren't there, for a guy of his level. A lot of people don't want to pay that kind of money that he would demand. And I just feel that it's such a bummer that there's only the WWE that can actually support a most wrestlers to live as professional wrestlers.
Yes.
It's not like it's not in the old days where you could work a territory and there was money to go around for everybody, and the business was very closed at that time. But now, it's just anybody will tell you some tricks of the trade for a free cocktail or two. If if they want to bend your ear a little bit. So
it's pretty amazing. With the story you're trying to tell. So when will we be able to? When will the final cut be done and ready for possible distribution shopping?
I hope to have the DVD with a bunch of probably about 20 hours of bonus features here in the next month or so. I wanted to get it on Vimeo to see what what the initial response was. People seem to really like it. I would like a few more people to see it, but it's hard to separate in any way from their money these days. I think wrestling fans in general have gotten used to torrent sites, and and because of going after Vince's deep pockets is no big deal. He wasn't feeling the effects of that, but this movie I made myself. I put it out there for the fans to see. I'd love them all to see it. I just want. I'm hoping in 15 years that someone's talking about my movie like they still are about Beyond the Mat. That was my real goal. So.
Well, of course, you don't want to end up with heat like the guy who did Beyond the Mat either, because
No, I think everybody in the movie that I did is represented well, and I think they're all pretty favorable. I think the only people that might be a little upset are that horrible tag team match that made the cut.
Oh gosh.
That was some brutal, and I was so happy to catch that too, because I thought Sigmund was really, really brutally honest with those guys. Calling it the worst tag team match he's ever seen of all time, and it really was. It was really bad, and that but you got to show the contrast of what what the good guys do in the ring and what what these guys have no business being in the ring are doing, and I was also. I was real surprised that back to what you're saying, how honest Sigmund was about taking steroids to get bigger, because of the cosmetic industry, and how much how better he felt, waking up in the morning, and you kind of get a sense of what the wrestling takes on on the toll on these guys' bodies. So it's interesting.
Well, I have one last question for you.
Sure.
And then I'll close it out. What is your opinion? Is TNA professional wrestling, or would you call TNA an indie organization?
I think there's a lot of talented guys there. I don't know if I'm not sure what those guys get paid. Greg the Hammer called it, what I think he referred to as whatever that joke is down there. So I'll let the veterans speak on that. I'm not in the business per se, and I certainly wouldn't want to upset anybody. But I think TNA's had some decent talent roll through there. I'm just I just don't know if the money's there, for what these guys are putting themselves through.
Their average performer makes $650 per appearance.
Okay. Yeah, that's I think some of when TCW was filming still, I think they were paying their their big name talent for the night to get the draw. I think they were paying them like $500 to come in, and so I don't know where the pay scale drops from there for the rest of the performers. I do know that in my movie, the King Shane and Sigmund got $10 for one match, which was, pretty sad considering we drove an hour hour down to Morristown, Tennessee for that $10. So, but I was happy to capture it on film.
Well, make sure you get my info from Tech, just because, we both have a lot of connections. I'd really like to talk to you outside of the radio show.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got
you can do that.
I got the emails. And so we've been sitting here talking, and you guys have been plugging all your stuff. I might as well plug mine.
Good.
So you can see the movie right now. You can go to atwhatcostthefilm.com, which is my website set up for the movie. There's a direct link to the Vimeo page. You can rent it for $3.99, buy it for $9.99 if you want to watch it more than once. And there's some great T-shirts there and limited edition signed posters. And you can follow me on Twitter at WrestlingDoc. At WrestlingDoc. The .com is not applied there. And then Facebook at what cost. You can type it in and it'll pop right up. So.
Well, you want to say too is that documentary so far definitely from what we've seen of it, enjoyed it. Let everybody know my background. I'm a professional computer analyst, so I build computers, fix them, troubleshoot. 8 terabytes of footage is a hell of a lot.
Yes, it is.
I know. So I have a good 3-4 at my house. So that's a lot of space. 8 terabytes is 8,000 gigabytes. So anybody that has a flash drive, whatever, we obviously there's 4 gigabytes. So imagine about 8,000, footage, 8,000 gigabytes of wrestling footage. And you have all these extra.
Well, the funny thing is, as I go back now, and I'll go back into some of this footage looking for bonus material, and I'm like, well, how the heck did this not make the cut of the movie? So I have a lot of that problem. So going back to the footage again. So it's all about bonus features, man, or the next one. Maybe make a new movie called Hot Tag just for the smart marks out there. So
we'll
see.
The final release could be like an 8-disc set.
Yeah, could be.
It'd be like them Time Life things.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember our Time Life?
But wait, there's more.
Yeah.
He ordered now.
Yeah.
He's doing like a little figurine, whatnot. Of course, you mentioned names where we're very close knit with our good buddy. All right, Bischoff been on our show 3 times. Definitely supports the show.
Yes.
With you mentioned Bischoff and Hervey and DDP and whatnot. Let us know too your life outside. Of course, before this documentary, of course, you did work on The Apprentice. You did work on other shows, Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. Tell us a little bit about that, being an editor for those shows.
Well, Celebrity Rehab was kind of I don't want to talk about that one so much, but what I really enjoyed doing was I worked on the Terrell Owens show. I loved working for T.O. That was great. And I did all the Of Love shows, the Flavor of Love, Rock of Love, I Love New York.
Oh God,
those were a lot of fun. Those were a lot of fun.
Pussies around them, right? When you say anything Gameboy?
Yeah, there's definitely. I got to meet Flavor Flav. That was cool. Celebrity Rehab was just a toxic show. I mean, everybody's drug addicted and trying to find a better life, but I'd say 80% of them didn't it didn't work out so well for them. So it was kind of a depressing show to work on. Biggest Loser, you're helping people, so that you feel pretty good about that. I'm actually working right now on a show about these top kids at Mortal Kombat for the Mortal Kombat 10. There's a big tournament going on in Vegas here soon that so I'm making all this content for the web the last couple of days.
You mentioned that. I mean, my co-host NXT Gameboy, he's a professional video gamer, so.
Oh yeah, who I'm trying to think of. Who the heck's the guy's name? I've been watching him all day. Yes, Sonic. Forget. Anyways, this kid hasn't lost to Mortal Kombat in over a year. His name's Sonic something. I can't think of it.
I've heard of names, but I've heard of some guy named I forgot the name. I've been out the scene for about a couple years now. I was back when Justin Wong and all them, and you know what I'm saying, back in those days. Yeah, these new kids and stuff. I'm almost...
There's money involved in it now. I mean, they're actually like.
Yeah, I know, right?
Now that you get out of it,
yeah.
They start putting up $60,000 for tournaments.
A couple more years, I'll be 40. So yeah, I got bills and mortgage, car,
you made the right choice, probably.
Yeah. So but I remember the good old days though. But
I had to get in the edit chair because I was going broke working for favors out here.
Yeah.
I sat here and my girlfriend at the time was like, "When are you going to pay for dinner?" And I was like, "I'm working for favors. Favors can't buy dinner." But I got out of that real quick, and I was like, "Oh, I got to get myself into television. They got a budget." So
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, cool. You mentioned The Apprentice, of course, with Donald Trump going around.
Donald Trump, yeah. Season 2 I did. That was a long time ago.
Tell us a little bit about the Donald. Of course, Donald Trump is running for president. He's making his remarks about immigrants and whatnot. What was working with Donald Trump?
I didn't work so much with him as, he was in New York, we were in California, but there was a little bit of drama when he wanted to make the Season 3 blacks against whites. So he's been putting his foot in his mouth for a while. You'd have to ask my wife that. She's a political reporter for the Times. She's actually out with Donald tonight. So apparently Palin endorsed him tonight. So, that's
Angry Mark, your thoughts? Anything you want to share for us? Mark mentioned about his wife in the political area.
You there?
Oh, me?
Yeah,
now Angry Mark, are you there?
Angry.
Yeah, I think I can hear you.
Okay, there.
Yeah, I can hear you. I think covering the political scene it's a great thing to do. I think overall with Sarah Palin's endorsement of Donald, I think that's the Dan Quayle effect, in my opinion. We got, she's going to get all the NRA votes. I'll tell you that. Anybody who wasn't for Trump who was with the NRA, now they will be for Trump. The endorsement, I don't know how much it's going to help. I think a lot.
I don't either. It's a sad state of affairs that this is the best candidates we can put forward to that were in our country. That's all
But back to your documentary. So people, it's available now for rental.
Yep.
People can purchase it. Is there anything else you want to say really about the documentary? Why it's a must-see documentary, and what sets yours apart from other recent ones?
I think I do a really good job at showing what goes on behind the curtain. That people only imagine what kind of goes on back there. I'm in the locker room a lot. I get to see the business aspect of it, how these guys try to make a living. Not just the wrestlers, but the promoters as well. I think you just get to see a lot of stuff that you wouldn't have seen a long time ago, and you get to hear. There's a buddy of mine who didn't care anything about professional wrestling said there's a lot of humor in it, and he's very entertained with the the level of jokes and how much he actually laughed, with them, but not against them. The guys I'm riding around, I did a 5-day stint with 2 heels riding through the Smoky Mountains, and 5 guys in the car. It's just road tripping, just a short 900 miles, no big deal. And it was a lot of fun making. I think it comes across in the movie, and you get to hear war stories, and I don't know. I think there's not a wrestling fan out there that would watch it and say, "Well, I could have done better." That's
Are you submitting it? Are you submitting it to any festivals?
I already premiered it in Syracuse in April, and then I showed it out here in Long Beach. I couldn't get traction with the festivals, but we know, as you probably know, a lot of those are political. I won here in Newport Beach with my last documentary, and I couldn't even get it into there. So I think wrestling documentaries come along with a preconceived notion of wrestling. I don't want anything to do with that. So I don't know. That's the hill I got to get over. Find out a way to promote it to non-fans. I think the fans of wrestling will, eventually come across it and find the time to watch it. But I made it for both. I made it for the non-fans as well, and I think it's an interesting story of these guys of sacrifice and desire, and against all odds, kind of trying to make their dreams come true. And I think that sums it up.
Sounds great, man. Well, congratulations.
Well, thanks a lot.
We definitely can't wait for the final product with all 10 discs. 80 hours of special features. You definitely
I'd have to shut down my work schedule for a while if I got to put out the 10-disc set. So if it starts moving quickly off the shelves, I will get that 10-disc set out right away.
All right. Well, before we let you go, are you currently still a fan of the business? And if so, let us know who you think will possibly win the Royal Rumble this Sunday.
I don't have an opinion on the Royal Rumble. I don't watch Vince's product that much. My school teacher neighbor could probably give you a better opinion on that. She's a hard mark for what the heck is his name? No, but who does she love? She loves
Roman Reigns.
Oh God, Fozzy. His band's Fozzy.
Jericho.
Jericho. She loves herself some Jericho. And it's funny. She's a 55-year-old school teacher, and I'll be over drinking scotch with her husband, and I'll just hear her yelling at the TV, and I'll go in and watch Sheamus on or whoever the big name is that night, but Cena. Yeah, I got some. I'll gotta send you guys some links of some special features that I got going on, because Chris Bell talks about hanging out with John Cena back when he was poor, and he'd only buy a big tub of protein mix, and that's all he just drank shakes all the time because he couldn't afford anything else.
Well, Lisa, well, Lisa, Mark, you got my email. You definitely send it. I will say also plug Chris Bell. We will have him coming on to the show very soon. Please check out, if you can, Prescription Thugs. I believe that's his new documentary coming out. We definitely will be checking that out very soon. So Chris Bell will be coming on to Under the Mat Radio in the very, very near future. And it was good to see Chris Bell in your documentary also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a plethora of knowledge, and we just talked about the old days, of the British Bulldogs and the Heart Foundation and Piper and Paul Orndorff and all the guys that I grew up with. Polish Power Ivan Putski. I got the old school names in my repertoire, but sadly I never got the chance. Sadly, I never got the chance to put the camera on Piper. We were about a week away from getting an interview, and that would have been epic.
Yeah, condolences too. For that. We had a chance to see Piper. Wasn't it Gameboy probably a month before he passed away?
Yep.
Yeah, it was well brought on. Yeah, we had a chance to see Piper. We wasn't able to make it, and less than 4 weeks later, he was gone.
Yeah, it happens that quick. I mean, fluke. So I mean, there's the guys that. Yeah, I don't want to get into the deaths, but it's a shame. They go, but not just wrestlers. Life's a fragile thing. So, but he was top on my list of people to get, and I was really close, and can't count on tomorrow. So,
No, you definitely can't.
Well, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate you coming on the show.
I love being on the show. Let's do it again when the 10-disc set comes out.
Yeah, no problem, baby, no problem. And
send us those links. Definitely can't wait to check them out. Update us on the final production. Anything, contact all those. We support anything you do. And just let us know. Can't wait for the 10-disc set, the 80 hours of features, the Mark Chervinsky figurine, the Mark Crisco figurine, all of that.
Yeah.
Big old package. But seriously, thanks, Mark, for being on. You've been great. We definitely will be talking soon. I'll give you Angry Mark's contact, his P.O. Box information after the show, so you can contact him.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's what it is, man. Take care. Enjoy the rain and the pussies.
Yeah, enjoy the snow.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Talk to you.
All right, take care.
Hey, man, that was Mark Chervinsky, director and producer of At What Cost, an anatomy of pro wrestling documentary coming up very soon. And of course, he worked on a lot of other great shows. Some shows I didn't even know about. He worked on the Flavor Flav shows and the Love shows and The Apprentice and all those. So please check his stuff out. We'll be promoting, of course, his work on our social medias. Angry Mark, you still with us?
Of course I am.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
One day we'll get you in the